It's on line.
Yeah! Bulls win! Bulls win it! Kukoc with the lifesaver!
And the Bulls go back to the Eastern Conference Finals for the third year in a row.
Well, finally a sweep of the Achilles heel. Boy, they gave you problems for the last couple of years, Coach, but a nice sweep against the Detroit Pistons.
Well, it was, and we figured if we could hold home court, we saw that game 2 of the series, if we could hold home court, we went back to Detroit and we put the pressure on them where we had beaten them this year on their floor in a very critical game, and when we had to come back from a deficit, we felt we had kind of broken through that area, that gap that we couldn't win in the Palace, and we had broken through that psychological barrier. And we went out there in game number 3 and obviously took it in game 4. We really had fun. It was a long weekend because there's a Memorial weekend. We had a Saturday afternoon game in game 3 and we played it. And Saturday night we had off, and Sunday we had off, and then Monday we finally got to the game. And I can remember the game, and then the producer of this show, Tim Sutton, came in and said, "Hey, can I take some video on the bus on the way to the airport and some video on the plane," because he was flying back. And he did, and it's one of my kind of prized memories is the video of the bus afterwards, because there were some, scalawags outside the Auburn Palace yelling at us and making cat calls, and there were some kind of obnoxious T-shirts that were being worn, and Michael put one on. It was funny, if you remember that. And then there's a sequence of Jerry Krause dancing on the plane coming back, which of course everyone holds in high memory.
Speaking of high memory, you went on there, of course, to face the Los Angeles Lakers. You split the first 2 games at home. You went out there and swept them. A great series out there. You've got to have some great memories of that too.
Well, you really do. I mean, it's so exciting to come into our building, the stadium, and having the championship on our court, and holding the fact that we had the best record meant that we would come in and play the first 2 and the last 2 if necessary. And then the first Sunday, getting beaten on an overtime or on almost a last-second shot, just took the air out of our balloon. And we came back, and Michael had a great shot at the buzzer, and it went down and came back up, and they won the game by 1 point. And we said, wow. Well, I said that's about as good as they can play. And I think that, coming back this next game, we can beat them, and don't worry about it. We'll be okay. I tell you, Michael and Scottie Pippen played game number 2. They were devastating. They were tough on Magic Johnson, and right then we started that march that took us through, and we had to go back out to LA, and on a very dramatic Friday game, we had to make a basket with 10 seconds or less, and Michael drove that ball down the court, hit that jump shot to put the game into overtime, and we beat them on that night and won the ball game, and we knew that we'd have game number 5 and the 4th win of that series and the championship in our pocket come Wednesday. But we had to sit around and wait for 3 days before we had it? Monday and Tuesday, and finally Wednesday we got that game done. But it was very sweet, and the fact that we went through the playoffs with a 15-2 record was an accomplishment that I don't think anybody has ever done before, although Philly did 14-1 or 13-1 to win it with 1 less loss. The league at this level, you're not going to do that, and you're not going to see many champions going through it like that.
Well, you talk about sweetness winning that first championship. Sweetness also is enriched when you go for the second championship. Let's go now to the New York Knicks, Game 5 in the second round of 1992.